classes sitting here. We had guitar classes, piano and singing classes. And these are all rooms that are still up above us. There are also private lessons on numerous instruments. You never know who is going to take a lesson during that time. This guy here, a student from the 70s, would end up going to law school. He relocated back here in the city, sent his children to Bloomingdale, and after they graduated, he joined the board, and this is our board president, Ken Michaels.
Oh, wow.
So if he were here, I would also embarrass him a little bit, but he has a great story to tell. By 1977, the after-school and weekend student body averaged more than 400 students per week, and most students received financial aid. This is a backyard. We actually have a backyard where classes would take place. Having a new home with a large room, perfect for chamber music, we founded the Bloomingdale Chamber Orchestra. This was really a testing ground for young conductors. Semi-professional orchestra that bartered rehearsal space here for support with promotion and ticket sales. A number of ensembles would do this, create a residence here, and then perform out in the city. This group was mostly run by the conductor who was leading it, picking repertoire, finding rehearsal space, personnel, and concerts took place at Symphony Space, Trinity School, and other large venues. Yeah?
Is that in this room?
That's this room, yeah. So you can say, actually, that's so interesting. This was painted, this was dark. There are a bunch of these were in this room. Some of the Monday and Wednesday evening artists were subscription concerts, and sometimes they would serve as a final run-through before the artist was making their debut at Carnegie Hall. Faculty would give free concerts Fridays at 8 called Bloomingdale Faculty Concerts. Those still continue. We do them at 7 now, but that still is happening. Some of you, if you lived in the neighborhood, may have remembered there were times we had cinemas along the street. There was the Olympia at 107th, the Edison in the Midtown. David Greer, sorry, I jumped ahead. This was a benefit performance we did at Town Hall. But we also did the Olympia Theater Festival. So this is a film studio where they do a double showing, there was raffle drawing, all kinds of popcorn, peanut butter, and it was a family festival to raise money for the school. David really connected out in the community. And this photo I love. I had no idea what this photo was about. It looks like a protest or march, and where is it? When I first gave this talk a month ago, there was a woman in the audience who did this. These are fundraising parades, musical parades that David would lead with students and signs through the neighborhood. They would march up and down all over. And what this alumni told me is that he actually had the students take open bank accounts so that he could pay them for participation in the parade. They would deposit the money and then give it back to the school for scholarship students. They thought that was just how it was done. It was his way of teaching them, here's how you open a bank account, here's how you can get a check. He really was dedicated to teaching kids not just music skills, but life skills. And I learned that from a presentation like this. So now we know the story behind this photo. The third area that the Brownstone allowed for was our school music program, which really became the most tremendous accomplishment of the school during its first decade and first 20 years, and reportedly was David's real pride and joy. In the early 70s, New York City cut all music teachers out of the schools, so there was really no music in the public schools. Bloomingdale House of Music responded. We were the first community music school to offer public school lessons, and basically was going door to door to the schools offering this to say, if you come to us, we'll give your students music. And it worked like a round-robin system. Classes would leave their school. They'd actually do this walk here to the school, come in to our doors, take their hour-long music class, and then walk back to school. And I've heard so many people say, I love those days when you could just see the kids walking, lines and lines. We'd have up to 8 classes a day going on. The classes involved rhythm, singing, and playing to xylophones, all shaped by the ORF Music Education Program. There was it's a program from Germany, Switzerland, that was brought over here and really engages students in all areas of music making. It was extremely successful. Bloomingdale started training teachers in the ORF program so that this could be, That's Danae Gagne, who founded the ORF program. She was the lead teaching artist. And I've actually met her in the last year as I was doing research for this. She couldn't be here tonight, but she's still here and just talks so fondly of this time. We had over 1,200 students a week coming during that time. And in 1978, our town which was Manhattan's #1 community newspaper, as it says. They wrote an article about this, Music to Enrich the Savage Heart. And I actually have the copy, this article is in the back too. But it says, nothing is more thrilling to a musician than watching a group of 6-year-olds making music. Yes, real music. Their rapt, ecstatic, and smiling faces are testimony to the success of the Orff music method, only one of the wonders of the Bloomingdale House of Music, one of our town's major cultural resources. In some shape or form, the public school program lasted into the 2000s. In total, the program served over 35,000 students. And they had concerts like this all the time. So by 1982, enrollment had reached 1,500 students a week, both after school and public school programs. We had 38 faculty members, and there was one more expansion still to happen. The school purchased the apartment building next door, right here, at 325 West 108th Street. That started a renovation of the basement area for much needed office space and a new dance studio. The new spaces opened in the basement with a ribbon cutting ceremony that was actually covered by the West Sider. And here it says at the end, according to a decree displayed on the wall of Director David Greer's new office, May 4th was proclaimed by Mayor Ed Koch to be Bloomingdale House of Music Day. Now that Phase 1 is completed, with the school offering dance for the first time, Greer says that future phases will mean eventual expansion into a full-service arts center that will include related disciplines. And that's that article. We have it back here. Now, sadly, that part of David's vision was not to be. He died in 1988 after he'd left the school after being sick, after 25 years as the founder and 10 years. So he had done so much, but that vision of what was talked about there sort of left us there. But he was a true altruist whose passion for music really created an oasis. This is not him, by the way. Go back one.
It's supposed to be in another slide.
I missed a slide. Oh, okay, well, yeah, I need a picture of David here. So David was a true altruist. His passion for music created an oasis of educational endeavor for anyone that wanted to make the effort. He energized the Upper West Side community with amazing vitality, imagination, and determination. Far from being a program to keep children busy after school, David's vision for the Bloomingdale School inspired and motivated literally thousands of children in the study of music. David Greer created Bloomingdale from nothing, except his belief in music being for everyone, not just a few, and his talents for organization and his ability to really inspire everyone who was around him. And so much that his spirit continued to live on. There's no way Bloomingdale was going to, after all of that energy put in. And this is Paul Fran, who joined as the next executive director. He was an oboe player, an experienced administrator. He'd worked at Young Audiences of New York and the National Endowment for the Arts, and was a longtime Upper West Side resident. He became the director of the school for a short but meaningful tenure. During this time, it seems from programs that I reviewed, BSM starts going out into the community more. There's a program of a jazz benefit with Ron Carter at Birdland. The Bloomingdale Chamber Orchestra played at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine and at the American Museum of Natural History. From his wife, Mary Fran, his widow, who we're in touch with and we know, Paul was dedicated to the faculty and worked to assure they were adequately paid. He started performance groups of kids on computerized instruments. They looked like saxophones and clarinets, where they could learn to play quickly and also compose their own music. The students performed at Strauss Park, just right over here at 107th Street. He taught the students Tai Chi himself and loved doing it. He particularly loved how they made fun of him, and he had some performances of young, talented kids who went on to have careers. So Paul's tenure landed during the 25th anniversary, and there was a gala in 1989 at Trinity School featuring the folk singer Odetta. So his time at BSM was cut short due to a sudden passing in 1991, but he also had made his mark on our community. So as the 90s get underway, things really take off in the community. The crack epidemic had burned through so much of this area, but at that point, affluence started coming in to really appear in the neighborhood. There were major developments, co-ops moving to condos, bringing more wealth and elitism. Alongside of that, technology was changing everything. How we communicate, how we learn, and how we connect, and everything getting faster and faster. We were all trying to figure out how to adapt and adjust. This is the elements that were in play when the board hired in 1991 its third executive director, Lawrence Davis. He is a pianist, an orchestra director, and a devoted teacher and consummate musician. Almost immediately, Lawrence focused on programming to provide more access to students in our community by seeking new grants and building new programs. He added early childhood classes, a number of faculty-driven ensembles. There was banjo, you had a drum pad, African-American drums, jazz improv, early music, flamenco guitar. You could hear singing in Spanish and more when you look through our catalogs. All kinds of things were offered. He also started a program, Project Bridge, which is private lessons for under-resourced students that recommended by their school band directors to have access. This program still goes today. In 2005, one of our most unique programs offered a free to any student at the school album for the young, a program to introduce both writing and playing new music to our students. In the 2000s, we saw instrument festivals created to bring people together around piano project, guitar festival, voice, strings. All of these continue to today. Lawrence also had to adapt the organization to the changes and aging of the organization. He found some creative ways to fundraise. We had a campaign for multiple bad pianos to help raise funds to help our pianos. He also established a performathon where students perform all day long, raising money for scholarships and financial aid. And you can see we had anniversary concerts. Our 30th was at the Stanley Kaplan Penthouse. The 35th was at Miller Theater. And we had one at Tavern on the Green, all with the goal of partnering with our neighborhood venues to raise money for scholarships and financial aid. Lawrence's largest programmatic focus was the forming of the Music Access Project in 1992. Drawing on the founding values of providing access to those who may not have it, MAP, as we call it, offers a 3-year full immersion scholarship program in intensive musical studies for those who might not be able to afford or go to the programs at Juilliard, Mannes, or Manhattan School of Music. This was designed to prepare students for entry into a conservatory by studying chamber music, private lessons, orchestra, and theory. Each of these students are here 2 to 3 days a week. MAP filled a need in the city and has continued to this day. We're celebrating the 25th anniversary of this program this year. Nearly 200 students have graduated from MAP, and 98% have gone on to college. Some are professional musicians in LA, Seattle, here in New York. Others are music teachers, some in the middle schools in Queens where they went or where they started. And they're also part of BSM. We have some of our staff here, Margot Cantor on cello, that was. Chen Chu, who's been in and out of the office running, he's our systems manager, the guy in the tie in the middle. And our assistant director, Brandon Vasquez, was a trumpet player in the 2nd year of the program. And these are some of our alumni that had gathered, including Frank, our stage manager, a couple of years ago. And here's just a really brief intro on a longer video. There's a longer video about the program, but we'll play the brief intro.
When I think of Bloomingdale,
When I think about Bloomingdale,
When I think of Bloomingdale,
I think of dedication and I think of hard work.
the love of music and to play with passion.
They really expect you to grow. They really want you to grow.
I don't think I would have been able to get this education like anywhere else.
They help you up when you're down.
Emphasis on the second home.
I love being here and I'm grateful for this. They really treat you like family. They really do.
So there's a longer video to that. But in the meantime, during this time is when the big change came. We were approaching the 90s, and Bloomingdale was trying to figure out why, or what, we changed the name. I had to figure out why this happened. And talking to a lot of people, I was intrigued by this. Was it an evolution that originally we were sort of a settlement house, moving into a more formal school of music? And legend has it that house may have been perceived as too casual. The community was becoming more upscale. Maybe a school would feel better. But actually, talking to Art and Mary Sachs, who were longtime board members here at the time, truth is, those were the days that Tower Records and Pedelson's Music existed, and we would get so many calls to the front desk asking about CDs or sheet music. People thought we were somehow the Bloomingdale House of Music was a place to come and buy sheet music. It really disturbed the process of registering for classes and lessons. And they went, through the whole legal process of changing the name. They did consider a lot of different names, and ultimately they went to the faculty and voted, And so House was out, but Bloomingdale stayed in. They had considered losing the whole Bloomingdale name, but that stayed. So that was it. Just we were getting too many calls. Another thing that started in the second millennium as we turn of the century was the explosion of the information age. Bloomingdale was the first school to have a website, first community music school to have a website. And Lawrence was really a visionary at this time. I mean, he saw we needed it and went out and figured out how to make it happen. We had our faculty created videos and blogs and information about their instruments. This is our Exploring the Music page. And actually, this is still some of the most Googled and visited pages on our website because it comes up in Google searches just to learn about the history of the saxophone or how to write a song. And this was done, probably 7, 8, 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago now. So that was still active. And perhaps the largest undertaking in this area from 2006 to 2008 was trying to figure out a solution to how do you teach music theory, which is sort of the nuts and bolts of music, not on your instrument, but how to read it, how to analyze it. And as classes got busier, students got busier, nobody wanted to take an extra class. So Lawrence and the staff decided technology could be the answer. Is that true? Who wants to take an extra theory class? It took over 2 years, and work by 50 writers, designers, musicians, and programmers created Theory in a Box. This is an online 12-lesson music theory class with videos, listening examples, quizzes, and more. This program, built 8, 9 years ago, is still in use. Universities and high schools use it all across the country. I am dying to make an app out of this. If anybody knows and has resources or knows someone, this would be a fabulous app in our new technology space. Just putting it out there. But it does still run. The website it still runs on is still functional, and students are still using it. So it's a great, big project. And during this time, when this was happening, Bloomingdale, we were at our highest enrollment at the school for the after-school and weekend program, nearly 800 students a week, busting at the seams again and really considering new venues that could fit all of our programs in. However, just as the world was changing faster and faster, 2008, the economic downturn affected Bloomingdale as well. Enrollment started to fall off, foundation giving shrank, and Lawrence did a lot to try to fill the gap. He built new relationships with Jazz at Lincoln Center, exploring the Metropolis Composer Residency Program. We even had our composers concert at Carnegie Hall, Recital Hall, with support from the National Endowment for the Arts. However, Bloomingdale did take a real blow in fall of 2013 when Lawrence suddenly passed. It was a short illness, and it really sent a shockwave through our whole community. So this brings us full circle to that Mother's Day I talked about in 2014 when I came to interview at the school. And what was clear to me then, and the fact that we could create this in 3 months, this concert came to be, that the warmth of our families, the quality of our dedication of our faculty, and everything going on here was really deeply rooted. And there's so much potential for what's happening. That was confirmed with this concert, and certainly has been since then. 2 years after the 50th concert, we've made tremendous progress of getting the institution back on balance. Teaching and learning is fabulous and inspiring daily. Our enrollment has grown every semester since we've been here. Our faculty concert series are getting more and more audiences every day. Our composers program this year was at Symphony Space. We had 34 world premieres by our students. We are in the second year of partnering with the New York Philharmonic's Very Young Composers Program and helping provide workshops and extending that program. We're also looking to get to know more of our community groups. We've met with some of the adult and senior groups here in the neighborhood, and we've also started to reconnect with our local schools, really believing that's a way to extend our mission, extend our connection. And this year we've got 3 pilot programs underway, 2 with public schools that we had long-term relationships back in the day, Manhattan School for Children, PS 333, and Emily Dickinson, right down the block, PS 75. And we also have a pilot going or a program going in the second year with the school at Columbia. This fall, we had our annual Instrument Discovery Day, which is a free family event to bring anyone to try out different instruments. We had a listing in the New York Times, and that along with a lot of local community marketing, got us a line out the door for the first time ever. And really, this is what happens at an Instrument Discovery Day. And that's really where Bloomingdale is today. I dream of Bloomingdale. I love these. Where I want Bloomingdale to be known as the Center for Music Education on the Upper West Side to everyone who's in this community. where our brownstone is seen as a home for all, where families can come for welcoming, inclusive, diverse concerts. And who in our community doesn't have access to music right now that would want it? How might we help make that happen? You're back.
Sorry.
No problem. We're looking, exciting events this summer is we're going to be, most exciting actually for our faculty is we're going to have air conditioning for the first time throughout the school. We are also, truly, this is big. We are also piloting 3 adult programs, an adult reading orchestra and 2 different adult singing orchestras. We are also extending a pilot we started last year of Carnival of the Instruments to have pictures at a music school. These are week-long programs for kids who are 6 to 10 to come and learn about the keyboard but be here all day. And a lot of really exciting things going on. So I'm going to leave you with a video from last year's workshop, and then we'll take some questions, and we have some wine and flowers and all of that. But here's our last summer kids to know that some of this is still going on.
Good afternoon and welcome to BSM. Please for doing Ellen as the school. And this for the music where it all began. So just sit back, relax, and please enjoy the show. Oh-la-dee, oh-la-da, everybody. Everybody sing with us. La-la-la, 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 yeah. Everybody sing with us.
They're siblings. These two.
Mr. John is also helped take care of us. Together we become a music family. Everybody, oh la everybody sing with us. La la la, yeah. Everybody sing with us. Over at the piano is Miss Lori. She has been our teacher for the week. Singing in the front is Miss Allison. Together we will sing in perfect harmony. Oh-la-dee, oh-la-da, everybody. Everybody sing with us.
Great. Thank you so much. That's our school. Oh, you want? I'm happy to take any questions. Yes,
You still have the building next door?
we do. Yep,
And what's become?
we do. We rent apartments. We actually get there are 12 apartments next door. Our offices are in the basement, so we do have offices. Yes.
Why don't we use the backyard instead?
You know, what a good question. We do use it twice in the summer. We do sharing hours and have a big community barbecue out there. But one of my questions, and this is where I do open it up, how can we use some of the great spaces we have? It'd be fun to have classes out there, right? Okay, we should tell our summer teachers. Let's start using that.
Yeah.
Paul.
Do you know much about the history of Bloomingdale, not just Bloomingdale, the other community music schools? Did most of them start earlier, same time, later? I know New York has a rich history of all these schools.
Well, 3rd Street Music School, I think, was the first, and they just celebrated 125 years, right? They're down.
Yeah, they're the oldest in the country as far as the community music schools are concerned. And then everybody kind of followed after them within opening pretty much 15 to 25 years after and moving forward through time.
Yeah, and Harlem School of the Arts started the same year as we did. Dillard Quail, which is on the east side, I think they're older than us, I'm pretty sure. Turtle Bay is a little bit younger, that's Midtown. Greenwich House is a lot older, they're like 80 some.
There was something on 94th Street that closed down, I can't remember the name.
Okay. Yeah. Other questions? Well, I'll invite you for some wine and dessert behind me. Take a look at the ads over here. We've got lots of events going on, but also really invite you to help us think about how can Bloomingdale be a service to this community. If you want to get involved, if you want to take lessons, but if you have ideas for communities that may not be served, Laura Gravino here is our Director of Education, who's helping really build out the school programs and our community partnerships. We have amazing faculty in the back, Roberto and Mark, piano faculty, and Kathy Hoffman right up here, who's been a faculty member for 44 of our years?
43.
About 43. So Kathy,
Since the fall of 73.
okay, so now I'm gonna have to get Kathy's feedback of what may or may not have been what I hit. Since you lived through most of it, she's been here for a long time. So come on up, have something to drink, and enjoy the things and give us your feedback. And thank you so much for coming.